It's funny that people, when things go wrong in the news, people feel like unsettled. They think like things are wrong. When leadership is not in our favor, sometimes we get nervous. People are worried about Mamdani's leadership. And then they start to wonder, how am I going to survive in this time? It's very interesting that people are successful. When you ask them, I have people that I've helped build them in business, and I asked him, he's in real estate in New York, and I asked him, how are you going to deal with this, that Mamdani is taking over with real estate? He just says, doesn't matter. I'll just figure it out. Learn how to deal with it. It will create new opportunities. And that's how some people think, that while there's difficulties, they figure out how to make it work. Instead of when there's difficulties, they say, oh my gosh, how am I going to deal with this? The ones who are successful even though there's chaos. While there's difficulties, they're figuring it out. And that's the way the Torah also judges a person. A person wants to say, who am I? Am I the person when I'm successful? Or am I the person when I'm failing? Am I the person who I am when I'm having a great day? The Torah tells us 3 ways to check a person. Adam nikar, bikiso, bikoso, or bikaaso. A person is, we could realize who the real person is through 3 different ways. When a person has a cup of wine, alcohol, maybe while he's mourning. A person could be checked also and recognize who he really is when he's angry. And a person also can be checked who he is when the person is tested with a monetary challenge. And you would say, why is that the way that you check a person when things are difficult? But that's exactly the way that Torah checks a person, is when the person is being challenged. Some people are addicted to the news just because of this. They're waiting to see a perfect time when things are going to be amazing. And then they say, oh, finally times are perfect. Well, I hate to tell you something. Things are not going to be perfect until Mashiach comes. So if you're checking the news more than twice a day, then it's most probably an anxiety problem. It's most probably an addiction and not something that's going to be helpful to you. So can you find out exactly how are you going to deal with the situations from those 2 times a day that you read and look at the news? The news makes money off of pirating your attention to sell it to advertisements. And it's going to try to get you afraid and tell you some stuff that's a little bit crazy about what's going on in the new times. But it's your choice to decide how to rise above it, how to deal with it, because that's how people become great. We find by Yaakov Avinu, the Pasuk says that after Rachel died at the age of 37, he worked for her 14 years. And he was so close to Rachel. And persons, when he loses a spouse, that's the biggest tragedy of the person's life. And still, what is Yaakov's response? That Yaakov moved on from the place called Migdal Eder. He moved on from it. And the rabbis explain, what does that mean that he moved on from Migdal Eder? Why are you telling me that he moved on from Migdal Eder, this place, if you never even camped there? And the explanation is that Migdal Eder means a tower. That the answer of this question of the Alshich is by the Meshiloach Ishbitzer, to tell us that Yaakov Avinu, even though he was challenged, he still was able to move on and to grow from it. That's what it means, Migdal Eder, that you towered above the test. In the merit of the resilience of Yaakov Avinu, our rabbis teach us, in that resilience, in the future, where is Mashiach going to reveal himself? Specifically in this place of Migdal Eder. Where is Migdal Eder? It's somewhere in between Bet Lechem and Efrat. It's mentioned by the Targum Yonatan. And the idea is that that Yaakov Avinu, even though this was from the many tests that he was going through, the difficulties, you look at throughout Yaakov's life, all the parashot start with vai, because he just had difficulties, one after the next. We know that after Rachel died, not long after Leah died. Leah died at the age of 44, 45, while not only that, Yaakov Avinu, when he came back home, by the time he got home, Rivka, his mother, already had died. And at her funeral, he was so close to his mother, Rivka. At her funeral, nobody attended. It was done in the dark and quiet, in order that people shouldn't curse the mother, the womb of Esav, the Rasha, the wicked gangster. And that's the reason why she was buried in silence. And Yaakov Avinu didn't break from this. And instead, he kept on moving on and staying strong. And that's the question is, you're only as great as how you deal and how you're resilient, how you bounce back from difficulties. So think about your difficulties that you're going through and ask yourself, what's the one thing I could do to make it a little bit better? So stop waiting for things to get better, because things don't usually get so much better. But instead, figure out what you could do in the situation. Stop waiting for the storm to stop. The storm doesn't stop. The storm moves on. This is life. The question is, how are you going to respond to it? And stop waiting for the permission from the news to move forward in life, because life doesn't get easier. The dollar shekel rate, I keep checking, maybe it's going to go back to 4 shekel for a dollar. Don't wait. Just keep moving.